Is Carrie Bradshaw really the worst character on television? I've been watching Sex and the City, and I have to say that Carrie Bradshaw annoys me a lot more than I thought that she would.
It's like the riddle of the Sphinx.
Carrie is by no means like the worst character ever, but this certainly isn't going to be a defense of her because I think she's got a lot of issues. But there's a big debate every time Gen Z goes to rewatch this show, every time there's a resurgence in popularity of the show where it's so divisive because people tend to look at either argument. It's either I love Carrie and I think that people are too harsh on her and her struggles are relatable, or it's that she's actually sociopathic, narcissistic, that she's the worst person ever and completely selfish. And I think I fall somewhere in the middle, which is that she is a great character. She's very interesting. I like seeing what she gets up to. I think that the show wouldn't be the same without her because she provides high entertainment value. However, she is incredibly selfish. And the main problem with Carrie lies not within what she does or what she says or mistakes that she makes. It's the fact that she never grows. And that she has main character syndrome because she's never fully held responsible for her actions. And like, this is the most unattractive quality that you can have as a character in a show. Like, it's one thing to be flawed and make mistakes, but when you have 6 seasons and 2 movies and a revival of being selfish and using your friends and being male-centered, at some point you need to be held accountable for that. But the problem is that Carrie Bradshaw is never held accountable, and a lot of her mistakes are simply brushed over. So today we're going to take a look at her relationship with money, her friendships, the way she views men, and why she is such a hated character. And honestly, it's for good reason. We're always intrigued by Carrie because what she gets up to is ridiculous. And because she's a main character, we see her very raw, embarrassing thoughts in a way that we don't with the other girls.
Suddenly, I felt like I was wearing patchouli in a room full of Chanel. Well, it's nice talking to you.
Oh, see you around sometime.
But even when she's doing stuff that's completely unhinged, like basically stalking Mr. Big and then stalking Natasha and having obsessive tendencies, it does make for entertaining television. However, I think another reason why people judge it is because we're seeing the show through her eyes, and so we're trying to find things to relate to, we're trying to connect to her, and some of the things she did just got so insane, like being a homewrecker and cheating on her boyfriend, that people found less and less things over time to really connect with or even to be able to defend.
I just wish I didn't know about this.
I just wanted to be honest with you. And people make mistakes.
Like, I liked Carrie in season 1. I thought she was pretty cool. I thought that she was, yes, a bit annoying and a bit male-centric, but in a relatable way. And then as the seasons went on, it was very detached from anything that I could connect to. And even Candace, who was the original author of the books, which was turned into the show, said that she stopped really connecting with Carrie after season 2, which says a lot because that's not the character that she wrote. And it's the same for me because that's when I also started to lose an interest in Carrie and honestly not wanting to defend her.
Later that night, I got to thinking about Narcissus, a man so consumed with his own image, he drowned in it.
Carrie, in many ways, can be a good friend. And she can be sweet. It's not like she's this evil villain, like not at all. She helped Miranda and was really comforting when Miranda needed to get an abortion. She was so kind. When Charlotte was having huge cold feet before going down her wedding aisle, and she said the exact right thing. And she was also really sweet when Samantha was super sick and unwell and questioning why she'd never gotten married and that she was alone. And Carrie told her, hey, we're never alone, we have each other. There are many standout moments in the show when Carrie is genuinely caring. But unfortunately, the overall trajectory of her character overpowers those moments.
Jeez, you look perfect. Honestly.
Sure, we like her fashion, we like her clothes, we like her amazing lifestyle in New York where she's walking around admiring everything, and we envy her because we're like, oh, I want to be a journalist in New York, I want to have a sex column. So we live vicariously through her, but we don't want to be her.
So I walked 48 blocks in $400 shoes.
Like I said, Carrie provides huge entertainment value. Clearly, she does, and she should be in the show. I mean, if we're all talking about her even now, it means the show did something right, because clearly we're obsessed with her, right? Or we wouldn't still be talking about her. But one of the reasons why we're so obsessed with her is because she's so infuriating. There were hints in season 1 that Carrie was a bit selfish, that she was a bit clingy, that she was needy, but it was kind of endearing, right? But the minute she cheated on her boyfriend Aidan and mistreated him, around season 3, that's when people really lost sympathy for Carrie altogether. And when she kept going back to the same done and dusted thing with Mr. Big, oh, Mr. Big, who I detest as a character, over and over again, over and over again. And that's when I realized, wow, like, I strongly dislike Carrie Bradshaw. I might even hate her a little bit. And thing is, not as much as Mr. Big, because he's my least favorite character in the show and he has 0 redeemable qualities, unlike Carrie, but I really started to get sick of her. And the reason why is because I realized I'm sick of her because she's not sick of herself, you know? Like, she's doing the same old thing over and over again, behaving in the same old way, and she's not learning anything. Like, she's approaching life with this same sort of presumptuous, cocky attitude that she's always had. Even when she goes in and she gets a cool job opportunity or an opportunity to meet someone cool, to learn something, she's always like blowing it. She's always finding a way to just screw it up. And I was like, come on, like, it's not that hard.
Carrie.
I'm just going to go and say goodbye to the pastor. It was lovely meeting you.
My friend, Carrie.
Oh, you show up at church after I asked you not to. What are you trying to do, test me?
That was the point I realized Carrie is in fact an anti-hero. And there's nothing wrong with being an anti-hero. Like, it actually makes for interesting writing, and the show aired at a time where we didn't have many women who were just unapologetically bad, who were anti-heroes, so it's cool to see someone so deeply flawed. And thing is, women are allowed to be flawed, we're allowed to make mistakes, and we should be written as such, as messy. So I'm not saying she needs to be perfect and she needs to like do everything right. I'm actually cool with her being an anti-hero, and I think it makes for more interesting writing for sure. And what annoyed me about it is the fact that she doesn't then improve and change. Like, there was one moment she improved and changed, which was after Charlotte lent her the money. She definitely started to skyrocket her career from then onwards, and she never became homeless again. So she did learn something in regards to not letting a man like buy your apartment for you and that kind of thing. But overall, she really doesn't learn anything, especially when she hurts others or she cheats or Mr. Big treats her bad. She just goes back again and again and again, repeating the same actions and the same attitude and expecting a different result. And the worst part is that she's always calling other people out. She's holding them accountable for things, but she's never holding herself accountable for things, or even just apologizing for times when she hurt others or when she was selfish.
Just tell me I'm the one. Come on, you don't have to tell your mother or the whole world. Just tell me.
And when she does apologize, like when she apologized to Natasha for stalking her and being a homewrecker, it was only to truly alleviate her own conscience. It wasn't because she actually cared for Natasha. It was to make herself feel better so she didn't need to feel guilty anymore.
Carrie! I see you! Wait!
She is so outrageously selfish and so unbelievably entitled. Like, there's not a single episode where she doesn't do something in some way that like pisses me off. Even when it comes to her book publishers, or when she gets to meet some sort of agent, or when she meets someone in the journalism industry or whatever, especially when it comes to her career. Like, it's all about her having these high expectations of what they should do for her, and then she literally doesn't do anything for them. She is lazy, she doesn't turn up on time, she doesn't bring them anything of value. Like, she's encouraged to give a talk about how to find a man and how dating works, and people pay a lot of money to turn up at this class, and she just doesn't come prepared with any ideas. Like, she doesn't know what to say, and she's so often like this, where she gets a good career opportunity and she's just lazy and disorganized with it and finds a way to mess it up. You could forgive it in the first season or two, but then the cheating happens, and then, you know, she becomes a homewrecker, and then she goes back to Big again, and then she starts mistreating her friends, and every single time nothing is learned. And then we come to the movie where I thought, okay, like, now she's older, she's too old to be behaving like this now. Like, surely after all these years of experience, like, she's learned something and she's improved, right? And she's gotten better. But no, she's still doing the same old thing. And she's basically being rude to her friends, or shaming them for things, or she's just abandoning them to go have dinner with some guy. And I thought, oh my God, you are still exactly the same person. Doesn't matter whether you're 40, 50, or 60, you will never grow up. Just insane arrested development, so emotionally stunted, behaving like a child, someone in high school, and absolutely nothing is learned. And I don't know how I'm meant to sympathize for a character that doesn't change. Like, the other girls changed and Carrie didn't. And that perhaps is the most infuriating thing of all.
Oh, I'm meeting Aidan for dinner.
Oh, okay. We'll change our reservation to 5 then. No, we're okay with 4. Remember, Samantha's got that late date.
Not necessary, because we're having dinner at his hotel.
There's a huge lack of introspection, growth, and just general awareness. And we all know that she was a bit obsessed with Natasha in season 3, because Natasha was, like, in her mind, her competition, and the woman Big left her for, so it could have been part of her overall character arc. But the thing is, Carrie doesn't really have a character arc, as I said, because even in the revival and the second movie, like, no, was it the second movie? Hang on. Because even with the revival, when Big dies, she's just obsessed with stalking down Natasha and trying to find out, why did Big leave $1 million to Natasha in his will, and why doesn't he tell me anything, and I need to go hound Natasha down. And she's behaving in the exact same way and treating the interaction in the exact same way that she would have in season 3. And it's been years at this point. They're so much older. Like, it's insane. They're old enough to have grandchildren. Like, no, I'm joking. And she's still behaving like that.
At a coffee shop? At my job? Where are you gonna hunt me down next, Carrie? In the showers at Equinox?
So I'm all for being a flawed character. I think sometimes people are too harsh on Carrie, and they just look for random things that she did and they try to twist it into something that it's not really. But a lot of the time, yes, like, they have a good reason to say those things, especially because this gets me into my next section, but Carrie is not like a girl's girl, because you can look at the way that she gets obsessed with insulting and stalking Big's exes, like his ex-wife, Natasha. She's obsessed with being better, with being the other woman, with being the chosen one. Like, she's so obsessed with being chosen. And even when she learns that Big basically cheated on his ex with her best friend, Carrie doesn't stop and look into that as a huge red flag and go, okay, cool, like, then therefore I don't want to get involved with him, because I don't want to be with someone that would treat women like that and that would behave in this way. But no, she's still, like, super into him. She doesn't care, which tells me a lot about where her loyalties lie. Also in the way that she treats her friends. She will dump them at any opportunity to go off and have dinner with Big. Like, she completely forgets about them and just isn't as available if there's a guy in the picture. And she spends a majority of the time talking to her friends about, like, her boyfriends and stressing them out and stirring everything up into a drama. And that's the thing I realized about Carrie, is a lot of these things don't need to be a big deal, but she makes them a big deal. It's like every single episode she thinks, okay, how can I make this a big deal and escalate this into a needless drama that it honestly probably doesn't need to be, right? It stresses them out, it takes up a lot of their time, they tell her they don't want to hear about it anymore, and she has no respect for that. And what always ends up happening is then her friends circle around and they end up apologizing to her. Oh, I'm sorry, Carrie, I wasn't a good enough friend, I'll listen next time. And so every single time she gets off the hook, and she gets let off the hook, and they just immediately succumb to whatever it is that she wants, because Carrie is, like I said, seen as like the golden child because she's the main character. No one ever really calls her out for her actions. In fact, it's everyone else that ends up catering to her, which is probably the part that I hate the most. Like, even when she comes to Charlotte about money, somehow the next day it turns into Charlotte apologizing and being like, oh no, like it was on me. And I was like, what, how is it on you that Carrie, like, it makes no sense.
He's upset about Natasha leaving.
You know what? I'm not holding your hand through this again.
I'm not asking you to hold my anything.
Carrie meets this young girl who looks up to Carrie as a kind of mentor. She's really inspired by Carrie and she wants to learn to write, and she's inspired by Carrie's journalism and kind of follows her around for a week. Carrie is just not warm with her at all. She makes no effort with this young intern girl. She doesn't care. She doesn't seem like she wants to care. I think this is around like season 2. She just makes zero effort. Barely looks at her, barely acknowledges her when they're at this this sort of party cocktail thing, and then immediately is warm and has this big smile on her face when a guy comes up to her and says hi at this party.
Oh, thanks. What is it?
She also shames the girl for being a virgin, which I found weird because that's a weird thing to criticize someone for or find weird, and it's completely the girl's business, like what she does, especially because she's so much younger than Carrie.
Are saving themselves for marriage? Saving what for marriage? Our virginity. Are you seriously telling me that you've never had sex with a man?
But all Carrie really cares about is men. Like in season 2, she's been stewing about Big for months and has barely left her apartment, and her friends basically have to force her to like get out and do something because they're starting to become concerned for like her health. Sometimes also the girls make the problem worse for Carrie as well because they're facilitating her behavior. Like Mr. Big sends Carrie some birthday flowers, right? And he says that his secretary alerted him to the date. And she keeps thanking him repeatedly. And I'm like, oh my God, why is she so desperate for these scraps of attention? Like, this is so embarrassing. Which is like, oh my God, thank you so much again. Thank you so much for the flowers. Like, that's the point where your friends should obviously be like, okay, Carrie, like, it's not a big deal. He's one of the richest men in New York, like, calm down. But instead, like, the girls actually make the problem worse because they're entertaining Carrie's delusions, because they're all sitting at the table and they're discussing, like, the red roses that he bought and what he wrote on the card and dissecting like the happy birthday message and if it means just something nice or if he wants to like get back together. And I'm like, guys, why are we sitting and dissecting this low effort transactional gift that he didn't even organize himself?
Best wishes on your birthday.
It's from Big.
What kind of flowers?
Roses. Red. Big. Expensive. What do you think it means?
This is the grand gesture.
Especially because Mr. Big was really, really unhealthy for Carrie. And what annoys me is that for so much of the show, the girls spend so much time feeding into this idea for Carrie that it's okay to spend so much time talking about this asshole, because she was basically in a situationship for 6 years with him. And none of the girls really go firm with her and say, we don't want to talk about him anymore. Like, he's not good for you. Like, Miranda tries a few times, but the problem is when the other girls don't back her on it, it makes for a very weak argument.
It's a huge mistake.
It is not a huge mistake. It's lunch.
Wake up, Carrie. How many more times are you gonna go through this? He is bad for you.
But honestly, Carrie treats all of them bad. Like, she laughs at the idea of going to therapy, and every time someone holds her accountable and says, look, you're being selfish and you're being really like self-absorbed talking about Big so much. Like when Miranda calls her out, she gets extra mean with Miranda, and she always comes back with like the nastiest, most personal insults because she hates being made responsible for anything. And I honestly truly believe that Carrie is extremely narcissistic, because you can look at any scene with her friends and within seconds she will divert the topic of the conversation back to herself. And honestly, that is really abnormal and extremely unhealthy, the lack of empathy that she exhibits, not just with her friends, with the fact that she makes everything about herself and they're mostly there for her, but it comes through with everything, even with Aidan and her complete lack of empathy with the cheating thing. It's like a feigned empathy, but she doesn't really like feel bad. Her complete lack of empathy towards Natasha or anyone that basically is collateral damage. There's not really much to say in regards to Carrie and Big. I will say that Mr. Big is one of the worst characters to ever grace television. He is insufferable. I don't know how I managed to get through so many scenes of these two, and they're boring, circular conversations going over the same thing of why he won't commit and why he won't open up to her. And it really brought down Carrie's character. I also think it's quite sickening to see how hard he tries to pull her back in. And this is something that like a lot of people don't talk about because they want to hate on Carrie so much. But Mr. Big is also very much like responsible for this dynamic, not just her. Like he was bullying her, pressuring her into like this kind of relationship. He was very pushy. And then he would pull back and show no interest because he knew that's what would make her want to come back for more. And he always seemed to sense like when she had a new relationship or when she was moving on, and then he would jump in to get her attention again. And that is honestly incredibly emotionally manipulative and unhealthy. And as much as their relationship was toxic, he was fully like participating in that toxic behavior. I truly like despise his character with every fiber of my being. Like I really don't see anything that he has to offer, and my biggest regret is that he didn't leave the show earlier because he doesn't change in any profound way. And it's honestly really heartbreaking to see how Carrie like loses herself in this relationship, trying so desperately to like prove herself to him. But then after a while I was like, well now Carrie, you're the problem, because you can clearly see that he's not interested. He's telling you very explicitly that he's not really feeling it, and he's very upfront about his intentions, and she's just not like reading the room. And it's just really cringy to watch when you have like multiple scenes of this. And yes, I did feel bad at points because he was manipulative. Like in season 3, she was in a relationship with Aidan, it was going well, and she didn't just fall into this affair with Big or pursue him. He really pursued her. Like he sent her voicemails, he manipulated her, he made it sound like he was gonna leave his wife, he turned up at her door saying I love you, he then sexually harassed her in the elevator. He kept pushing for this relationship whilst knowing that she was very vulnerable and that she would have found it hard to resist his advances because she did still have some lingering feelings for him. So he was really in the wrong there because she was vulnerable.
Fuck you.
I love you.
You.
Carrie spends a lot of the time in the relationship with Big emotionally bolstering him, mummying him, controlling him, and sort of explaining herself and explaining why she's ashamed she did ABC, or trying to placate him so she doesn't have to see the truth of his character, because it's a lot easier to talk at him than have him actually say something. And it's actually ironic how little Mr. Big says in dialogue in this show. Like, you know, she spends a lot of time talking at him and dumping her feelings, and he shares very little. And it's actually quite ironic that Carrie and Big have never actually been at a nice restaurant until season 2, episode 18. He finally takes her to a really fancy place because obviously she was just a booty call for him, so they would just go to cheap Chinese places, right? But he's really nervous, they're dressed up, they're at this beautiful place. He's never really made an effort like that before with her. She's wearing a nice pink dress, they sit down, they talk. She thinks maybe they can connect in some way. And it's ironic that this time they do this nice restaurant and he has a girlfriend and is basically there to tell her that he's, you know, gonna be marrying someone else.
We're engaged. I wanted you to hear it from me.
Carrie asks if they can be friends and meet up, which I thought was crazy that she knows he's seeing someone, because she's still trying to prove that maybe he'll choose her or that she'll be the chosen one at some point, and she can't fully like let him go. And a lot of it was honestly for the drama. Like she didn't really want him, but she enjoyed like the back and forth. In season 3, Carrie is engaging in very harmful and destructive behaviors that are hurting her, Aidan, Natasha, and the people around her who were caught in the crossfire.
I'm talking to you!
In season 3, episode 18, Miranda tries to call Carrie out for what's going on with Big. It's not worded in the best way. It definitely seems like an attack and shaming her rather than coming from a place of care or tough love. And it's more tough love than just care. Like she's too over-involved. She could have said it in a nicer way, but instead she is shaming Carrie a little bit, saying that she's pathetic. But also everything she said was completely true. And she was just sick and tired of it at this point. And Carrie gets really malicious in this scene. She defends herself and she says, well, I'm allowed to see him. It's just lunch. I could do whatever I want.
Jesus, every time you get near him, you turn into this pathetic, needy, insecure victim. And the thing that pisses me off the most is that you're more than willing to go right back from work.
Carrie's dynamic with Big was toxic, and Miranda had supported Carrie through years of it, and she was sick of it. And I think therefore she has a right to say that she doesn't want to hear about it anymore. And at that point, who can blame Miranda, because she tries to help and Carrie doesn't listen. And that's the thing, is Carrie never listens to her friends because she's always in denial about Mr. Big and the reality of like what's going on. Like, on the first date with Mr. Big, her friends told her, don't wear a short skimpy dress, don't have sex with him, and she does it anyway, which immediately changes the way that he sees her because they haven't even gone to the restaurant and they've already like slept together. She tries to have sex with Big when he says he's going to California, even though her friends tell her it's not a good idea. So yes, Miranda was harsh, but at this point she was just sick of seeing her friend getting hurt, and she was trying to get her to wake up, right, and see the truth. And Carrie says, we're going to talk, and Miranda says, oh, since when does Big talk? And Carrie gets all offended over that, and she's like, what's that supposed to mean? But I thought that was ridiculous because she's spent years telling her friends about how Mr. Big doesn't say anything and doesn't open up to her. So she knows exactly what Miranda means.
If you start up with Big again...
I am not starting up with Big again.
Well, if you do, I don't want to know anything about it. I mean it, Carrie. No calls, no crying.
I mean, for years she's been going into excessive detail about how he doesn't communicate with her and how she has never any clue what's going on. And now she's feigning confusion like, oh, what does that mean? Carrie, you know damn well what it means. You know exactly what it means. And at this point I realized, wow, Carrie doesn't deserve her friends, and 100% in real life they would outgrow her and they would not be friends with her anymore with this kind of insane behavior.
I got you a smaller room all to yourself downstairs.
I can't get in another small room.
And that gets me into how Carrie treats Aidan and her relationships in general, because I think this deserves a section because, wow. Carrie meets Aidan and he seems like her dream guy, right? But she cheats on him multiple times with Big, and then even after that point, she says she wants him back, she begs to have him back, and then it goes right back to the way it was before of her being eternally unsatisfied with him and kind of looking elsewhere and never really sure. She was never really sure with Aidan. Like, there was always something holding her back from committing further with him, even though he seemed to have everything she wanted on paper, right? And there's nothing wrong with being unsure, but the problem is how she basically strings him along and can never fully let him go, even though she knows how much like she's hurting him, right? And the lying, like honestly, it was so beneath him. He could have done so much better, I feel, because she was just really not showing up to the relationship in season 3 with the same kind of enthusiasm and openness that he had with her.
I just need to be on my own for a while.
The way she treated Aidan in season 3 was honestly unacceptable, and it's actually when a majority of the fandom turned against Carrie. He's so in love with her, he's grounded, he's stable, he's consistent, he communicates well with her, and she's just playing him around and cheating on him.
Are you cheating? I can smell the smoke on you.
Carrie starts waking up in the night with anxiety, feeling like something's wrong because she's not used to being in such a stable relationship. And so after a while, she starts pushing him away. She starts making these mean comments like, oh, why are you so nice to me? What's your secret? No one's that nice. Like, she's trying to like bring him down. And so, you know, she avoids Big. She avoids him when she sees him at the auction, at the boat party. She tries to like avoid eye contact, but then he keeps pushing and like sending her all these voice messages, and she starts to like become like obsessed, especially when he says he's leaving his wife. Carrie's like, keep that information to yourself, Big. No one's interested. And then she immediately goes and tells all her friends because they are like very much interested, right?
I heard about your marriage. And it's just so terrible.
And so they start seeing each other, they start hooking up, they start having an affair. And Carrie feels bad, she wants to keep it on the down low, but Big's like, no, seriously, I just want to call Natasha and end this marriage. I'm not feeling it, right? But Carrie's like, no, don't tell her, because she doesn't want any repercussions for her actions. So she doesn't want to commit to Big fully, but she also doesn't want to risk losing Aidan and her friends. And eventually, like, she tells them, Charlotte, not intentionally, but she tells Miranda intentionally, and Miranda's trying so hard to be like neutral and non-judgmental. She's listening like very compassionately, but Carrie in this conversation is basically begging to be saved by someone so she doesn't have to deal with it. Like she's looking for some sort of solution that will have the least amount of consequences for her. And the problem is, rather than being upfront with Aidan about this secret, instead she starts being weird and passive aggressive with him. Like she starts making these comments like, stop, you're annoying me, I hate when you kiss me like that, it's stop. And she starts being disrespectful.
He's married. I know he's married. That makes you the other woman. You're the other woman. I am not the other woman.
Aidan gets really hurt. He's like, you always used to like when I make that noise when I kiss you. And so he tries to leave and she's like, oh no, wait, I like that noise, come back. And I was like, I'm done. That was the moment I realized I just could not stand Carrie Bradshaw, because I was like, oh my God, how selfish can you be? She wants to have her cake and eat it too. She wants absolutely everything. She wants to have it all, right? In the same way later, Big's going through these relationship problems in season 4 and she's dating Aidan and she's like, look, can Big come over? Like, he's drunk and he's sad, this girl doesn't like him. She actually thinks that she can have Big come over and that she can have Aidan be okay with it and there'll be zero repercussions for her. I'm sorry, but like, how selfish and messed up in the head do you have to be that you think it's acceptable to invite over your ex to your current boyfriend's house, the ex that you cheated on him with, and you have the audacity to say this to his face and you're like expecting him to be okay with it? She clearly was, or she wouldn't have asked at all. Aidan suggests renovating her apartment for her in season 3, so while he's out drilling and actually trying to improve her life and upgrade her life, Carrie's out there having an affair with Big, and then she loses Aidan's dog. Like, she's a terrible girlfriend.
3 hours later, I still hadn't found Pete, and I felt as lost as he was. I had a man who loved me and a man who wanted to leave his wife for me.
The worst part is there are so many points where she's given advice from her friends on how to stop and pause and reflect. Advice from Miranda, advice from Charlotte, and immediately Carrie's like, oh yeah, don't worry, I'm getting out of the affair. Her responses are way too quick because she's not pausing and thinking about it. Like, and if it was that quick and that easy to get out, then she would have done it already. So she continues the affair with Big. She's sleeping at Big's place, walking around her underwear at Natasha's apartment, eating takeaway out of Natasha's fridge. Natasha comes home and then obviously Carrie runs away like a coward.
Honey?
Natasha is a woman who comes home from the Hamptons early.
Honey, are you here? I took the jitney home.
I felt really bad because at this point, Aidan had always maintained respect towards Carrie. He'd always been nice to her. He'd always been honorable with his intentions, and she just was not giving him that same energy back. And she asked Miranda to help her get out of this affair and to help her stop. So she doesn't actually want advice. Like, she wants validation in a way and attention because she's not actually trying to get out. And by the way, when she tells Aidan and he breaks up with her, so things end with both her and Aidan, she actually takes the girls and runs away to LA. So she's not actually doing any reflecting at all and thinking about what she did wrong.
The whole reason I even agreed to this trip was to get away from Aidan and Big and the whole mess. Come on, let's get the check and go to Barney's. I can't possibly go to Los Angeles without another pair of shoes.
Carrie also dated an alcoholic in season 2. Random. She actually encouraged him to date even though he thought it would be bad for him because he was still in rehab, and it actually made him fall back into his addictive cycles with alcohol again. In season 4, Carrie and Big start getting this friendship and hanging out together, and Miranda says that she should define what exactly they're doing together, and Carrie calls her a prosecutor because, again, she doesn't want to have to take any kind of responsibility and that she doesn't need to like define what they are. And it's funny how she gets so cagey and defensive when they raise this topic with her, because Carrie really hates it when people like question her, right? And it shows through like in her work too, in the workforce at multiple situations where she responds in this way that's very like arrogant and could definitely get people offside. We have Carrie and Big's night out. Big starts getting jealous and possessive when Carrie talks to another guy. He keeps making these obnoxious, weird jokes, laughing really aggressively and making just stupid noises the entire night, like these dumb sound effects. I just can't stand him. He's just behaving like a child because he's jealous. Samantha notices it, and she's such a great friend standing up for Carrie that she says to Big, hey, Carrie's really vulnerable right now, and even though she acts strong, leave her alone. What are you even doing here with Carrie? And Big gets so intimidated that he ends up actually leaving the event early and not telling Carrie why. And he doesn't bother coming back for multiple episodes, so clearly Samantha saw right through him. And this made me realize, like, wow, Carrie really like does not deserve her friends, because like they really have her back.
Apparently, everyone in the universe wanted me to define my relationship with Big. You sure your base is gonna be okay?
Oh, yeah.
Carrie says the way that I treated Aidan is going to haunt me for the rest of my life, but it doesn't seem to, because she doesn't seem to care. And she actually glimpses Aidan across the bar in season 4. He doesn't give her the attention she wants, and she says to her friend, like, that's it. That's all I get. It's crazy that she thinks that she's entitled to have these men stay in love with her, like no matter what she does to them or how she treats them. Carrie does many things wrong in this show. She is selfish. She has a massive selfishness problem. Miranda hurts her neck and Carrie leaves her there and sends Aidan instead. And then turns up with these shitty bagels to just talk about Aidan the next day rather than about her friend's injury. No one really supports Miranda when she's pregnant or like does something to make it easier for her, aside from Charlotte with throwing the baby shower.
Is this my baby? I mean, what am I waiting for?
Sweetie, do you want to leave?
No. I can't have a baby.
When Carrie comes by with these bullshit bagels, as Miranda calls them, Miranda realizes that Carrie isn't there for her. She's there so she can talk about Aidan and about boys. And Miranda says, you know what, this is bullshit. Like, you are bullshit. You and your bagels are a decoy so you can talk about Aidan. If you fell or something, I would never send my boyfriend to help you. And then Carrie goes on, oh, that is if I even have a boyfriend anymore. Like, she's so selfish, she just turns everything back onto herself. And she did the same thing when they were preparing for Charlotte's wedding and they were doing the fittings. She started talking about Aidan and Big and the whole affair. Later on, Carrie and Aidan actually get back together, and she's saying, you have to forgive me, over and over and over, and it's honestly really annoying, but eventually he does seem to kind of, and they get back together. There's this whole disaster where Carrie's laptop crashes out on her. She's trying to fix it, and she's being so mean to Aidan, even though he's just being nice and like trying to help her, and she's just freaking out, then admits she doesn't back up any of her work. And she's just picking fights with him in the laptop shop, and I was thinking, I could not imagine like dating someone who behaves like this in public. It's so embarrassing. And then she even gets mad at him for getting her a new laptop because she doesn't want to owe him anything, not even a thank you.
You are mortifying me.
When was the last time you backed up your work?
I don't do that.
As I said, she invites Big when he's drunk and sad over to the cabin where her and Aidan are, because he said he's really stressed because of like this girl he's dating not liking him back, and Carrie really struggles to set boundaries and just tell him no. Aidan's like, he's got some nerve coming over here, like it's insane. She's like, yeah, I know. So she invites him over, right? And Mr. Big's behavior is appalling. He's being loud, disruptive, and negative. And the next morning, Carrie encourages him to just go outside and make friends with Aidan because she's like, whatever, like you two can sort it out. And so they get into this huge fight. Of course they do, right? And it's never really resolved. They have breakfast together a few hours later. And for me, like, I felt like that was really lazy writing and lazy plot resolution. Like the fight should have lasted longer. It was a big deal. And it's like, come on, you wouldn't just forgive someone that quickly. It's lazy writing. Like, this man has come in, fought you, drunk your wine, ruined your weekend, and realistically at the end you just wouldn't be having a nice breakfast together. It's just so convoluted. And again, it means that Carrie's kind of absolved of the responsibility of what she did, which was really serious, which was basically forcing her ex and her boyfriend into a situation where they had to pretend to get along. Then we get into episode 11 of season 4, and Carrie just again has no impulse control. Like, she's even telling Aidan about Miranda's pregnancy, which was completely confidential information that she had no right to share. And she puts Aidan into a very difficult position by telling him that, because now he has to figure out if he tells Steve or not. And the final thing I want to talk about before this video draws to a conclusion is financial irresponsibility, because Carrie is very, very financially irresponsible and immature, and it's yet another reason why people don't like her, because she really doesn't behave like a responsible adult. Carrie allows Aidan to buy her apartment, so therefore when they break up she gets kicked out, and she realizes she spent all her money on shoes and she has no income streams and no savings.
I have 25 days to either find the money to buy my place or I am out on the street.
So she goes looking for other apartments to rent, and she's complaining a lot, saying they're not good enough. And she's complained to the real estate agents too, as if they care, going, oh, well, my apartment was $700 and at least it smelled good and this place is stinky. I'm thinking, why are you speaking to random real estate agents, insulting their property like this? Like, it's insanely rude. But she ends up going to Big, and he gives her the money and she's reluctant to take it, which I thought was insane. Like, after all the shit he put her through, she should have taken it and just never spoken to him again. And he's the richest man in New York, so he can afford to, but she talks to her friends about it later and they offer to help her out. The one thing I didn't like is that Charlotte goes quiet and sips her drink, because I feel like as a friend, the right thing to do is to like pretend you care and to engage a bit with your friend, right? Because she's a lot more privileged than Carrie, so she should at least listen and look her in the eyes. Because she's a lot more privileged. She'll never deal with a situation like that. She doesn't need to work, and I think the least she could do is offer support, even if she doesn't offer money. So I understand that it hurt Carrie's feelings, but Carrie's reaction was really extreme and, as she said, irrational. Like, she turned up at Charlotte's place, invited herself in, started speaking to her horribly, saying, why don't you offer me the money, as if Charlotte's like indebted to her or has to give her money, which I just thought was so inappropriate, because Charlotte doesn't have to do anything. Like, it's her money, it's her business. Like, maybe she wants to donate it to charity. I don't know, who cares? Like, it's not appropriate to be demanding this of your friend.
Why didn't you offer me the money? I knew you were gonna say that.
It was really disgusting. She comes in loaded with criticisms and attacks. And she's never spoken to a guy like this ever. The way she's speaking to Charlotte, she has never spoken to Mr. Big like that. In fact, she ripped up the check because she didn't want to owe him anything, but now she's comfortable bulldozing Charlotte. Like, it just smells like misogyny to me. And at the end of the episode, Carrie gets to keep her apartment, and I was like, for what? Like, in this moment, did she learn? Because all she did the entire episode was whinge, complain, victimize herself, and then refuse help when Big offered. Now, I don't think Carrie deserved to be homeless, and just because she was financially irresponsible, that doesn't mean that she deserves to be harshly punished or anything like that. But I've noticed it like in multiple scenes where she's really out of touch with reality in general with her financial situation, and she thinks it's okay to kind of do whatever she wants, spend whatever she wants, and not really factor in like savings and stuff like that. Like, she has no savings at her age. She doesn't have any assets in property or anything. Like, she's basically broke. She just has a very expensive, lavish lifestyle that makes her seem super rich because she wears all these clothes and she gets cabs everywhere, but actually, like, she's broke and there's nothing in her account. And it's just another example of how in general she's irresponsible and childish, because she's not taking ownership of her life. And even when she was dating Big, he was really rich, but he wasn't spending money on her. Like, she wasn't using him for even that, which he would have been useful for.
You have $700 in your checking account.
I just paid my credit card bill.
It even reflects later when Big leaves Carrie at the altar and she's so embarrassed on her wedding day and she cries to her friends, help, get me out of here, get me out of here, as if she's not like a grown adult with legs that can remove herself. So she's always like relying on her friends for stuff. She's never really taking responsibility for her life. She's looking to others for advice and validation, but then never actually following through on what they tell her. And I just feel that she has a lot of growing up to do. She also in general behaves in like quite a, like, she has, I think, a lot of internalized like misogyny, but without realizing it, just with the way that she talks about other women like Natasha, and she spends a whole time like insulting Natasha, like, oh, she's a stick insect, who cares about her, like, I'm so much better than her, and like, Big should choose me, and like, I'm just amazing, and this kind of thing. Like, she really needs to just grow up, and I think it's sad that she has no one else to talk to but these like poor 3 girls who just have to sit and like listen, and like, I don't know really what's going on with that. I think that she could be a really good friend at times, but she's certainly not someone that I would want as my friend, because she's just too emotionally volatile, and I think it would be really exhausting to deal with. And she certainly like wasn't a good girlfriend. Like, Mr. Big mistreated her horribly, but then she became Mr. Big in her next relationship with Aidan, and she started treating him the exact same way that Big treated her. And I honestly, at this point, I feel like her and Big are both just really narcissistic people that genuinely deserve each other and should be together, because they're honestly on the same wavelength. They think the same way, they behave the same way, they may as well be together. Like, honestly, they're such similar people, and how they just, like, even in the workplace, the way that she is when she gets like a job opportunity, for example, like she just launches in with like no plan, and she's making dumb jokes, and she like hasn't done any research on like the company. It's like, what, why are you there? Like in real life, like you would literally, they would ask you to leave, you know?
You broke my heart!
And considering that she writes a sex column, right, she's surprisingly prudish around topics like sex and bisexuality, and very like judgmental about her friends' sex lives. I'm honestly surprised that Carrie was as successful as she later became in her career, and it seems a little bit unrealistic to me, because whenever you see her in a situation where she's in a workplace or a firm and she's interacting with other people, she always comes unprepared and doesn't present herself as very capable or like she's taking it seriously. Definitely though, I still appreciate Carrie Bradshaw as a character because she's highly entertaining. The show wouldn't be the same without her. And also, if you look at the era of television, it was pretty progressive to have this anti-hero, to have a woman that has so many problems and is the main character. Like, she was definitely one of the first like female anti-heroes. And I think it's cool that she normalized a female character being annoying, like really, really annoying, and being unlikable, because there's always this expectation with especially female characters that they have to be likable. Like, they're a bad character if they're not likable, or they need to do things that are just really perfect all the time. And honestly, that makes for like a really boring show. So I like that she brought so much drama, and she was so problematic and so selfish and had so many issues, because it definitely made for like a far more interesting show. And for that, I'm honestly grateful to Carrie Bradshaw, because I've never been so entertained and she did that, you know? Like, imagine if she wasn't there, how boring and lifeless everything would be. So do I think she's a good person? No, like not at all. But at the same time, it's kind of nice to have a female character that is so like messy and destructive, and it definitely makes for great television, you know? Although I wish like she would have like worked a bit more on being a friend and like prioritizing her friendships, because she says she does, but her actions reflect otherwise when she's like off dating these guys, and then she just is so rude about it too. Like, if she wants to spend time alone with a guy, like with Aidan, she forced actually Miranda and Steve to go on a double date with her and Aidan, and when they arrived, she was like trying to get a moment alone with Aidan. So she tells Miranda, it's okay, like you can go now. Miranda's like, what do you mean? She's like, yeah, you can go, it's fine. I need to be alone with Aidan, so you being here is like obviously gonna get in the way. It's like, thanks, you did great, you can go. So she assumed that this whole double date Miranda knew was like set up just in Carrie's favor. And I'm thinking, who on earth would go on a double date just to facilitate their friend getting with this guy? Like, Miranda thought they were there to hang out together. She thought they were gonna order dessert. She thought they were there together to have a nice time, not just as some sort of weird seduction ploy so Carrie could go off with Aidan. So she literally kicked Miranda out of the restaurant. Like, she is so like disrespectful, but in like such a casual way. Like, she doesn't even see how rude she's being, and that's like the most worrying part. Like, it was actually crazy, like the way that she sometimes thinks about her friends. Like, okay, especially in relation to men, it's like, but it's Aidan. Like, he's not that great, you know what I mean? It's, why? Like, why are you so obsessed with him? And like the obsession with Big, it was funny at first, but it got really tiring after so many seasons, and it became honestly really embarrassing and really needless, and I didn't enjoy it. So let me know what Sex and the City video you want next. Make sure you subscribe so you can see the rest in this series. I've got my deep dive coming soon, and I will see you guys for the next video. Bye.